The president signs a new bipartisan law to ramp up American manufacturing of something you use every day.
We're leading the world again for the next decades.
Plus, a new court ruling leads to a big shakeup in the race to be your next senator.
So it is definitely possible that this ruling leads the Senate race in North Carolina to tip towards Republicans.
It's a pretty big deal.
And
so your risk of coming into contact with monkeypox is...
Find out how doctors rate your risk level as the United States declares a public health emergency over monkeypox. Let's dig into it. Without microchips, so many of our modern luxuries would not exist. There'd be no fancy cars with navigation systems and Bluetooth technology. No cell phones either, for that matter. Even TV monitors, poof, they'd be gone. Which is why President Joe Biden signing the CHIPS and Science Act today is such a big deal. It's supposed to make sure America has enough microchips to go around. I'm Ben Briscoe. Let's dig into it beyond the headlines, into the real impact this new law can have on your family. The bill itself is more than 1,000 pages long. The biggest section of it is for incentives to produce semiconductors, chips for America, which is a huge deal because the Secretary of Commerce says,
right now, we are dangerously dependent on other countries, mostly in Asia, for our supply of semiconductors. We don't make any leading-edge semiconductors in the United States. And those are the sophisticated chips that you need for military equipment and high-end computing. We buy almost all of them from Taiwan. So the reality is we need companies to expand in America, and other countries all around the world are providing incentives.
A supply line that's threatened now because of the tension surrounding China and Taiwan after House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan.
You'll return America to world leader status in semiconductor production and power American science and research for generations to come.
The new law includes around $52 billion in subsidies for U.S. companies producing computer chips and $24 billion in tax credits for new manufacturing facilities, as well as tens of billions of dollars to fund research and development. The bill passed both the Senate and House with bipartisan support. Republicans were divided, though, with some saying it doesn't go far enough to prevent investment in China and calling it corporate welfare.
I support making chips in the United States, but we cannot lead a new era of innovation through massive government subsidies.
But supporters in the Biden administration say the bill is critical to compete with other countries and ultimately drive down the prices of electronics for you. So that's what the politicians think. What about the people that actually make the chips? Well, Gorilla RF is a microchip maker based right here in Greensboro. They develop prototypes for wireless infrastructure in cars. Even they turn to Taiwanese plants to manufacture their chips.
I think this CHIP Act will encourage some of those third-party factories or foundries, they're called, to locate those plants here in the U.S. I think that's a positive for us. Currently, most of our chips are manufactured in Taiwan, which certainly with the geopolitical situation over there is, always a concern. So I think it'll help us in that way.
The company's founder and CEO, Ryan Pratt, says the CHIPS Act also has money set aside for some research and development. It's something his company hopes to get as they continue to grow in Greensboro.
I think for us, we've definitely seen business growing. One of our bigger markets is automotive. And so it's been a double-edged sword there in that, I think the demand for automotive has grown, but due to some shortages of some microchips, obviously unit production of cars are actually down.
Gorilla RF is working on creating more space for its growing business. They're actually moving to a new site in Greensboro and are now a publicly traded company.
Gorilla RF was born here in Greensboro, and we're excited to be part of the community.
Another big aspect of this new law is encouraging more young people to become scientists. In particular, it hopes to bring more diversity to the field by including incentives to support HBCUs. It also includes tools to combat sexual and gender-based harassment in the technology field. That's in hopes of recruiting more women. And the new law aims to spread the wealth of the tech work to rural communities as well by supporting mentorship and learning programs in areas outside of major cities. Here's what all of this is trying to change. Right now, only 2.5% of full-time science professors are black, and females make up just 11% of engineering professors. You know, one person right here on our staff who is extremely passionate about getting more diversity in STEM is our own Monique Robinson. You got this weekly series called Mo on the Go, where you try to focus on women in science. Why is that so important?
Well, when you are feeling comfortable in a space, you shine. And when you have more people who look like you feel more comfortable. And so when you have initiatives and you showcase to people that, yes, this is a room that you're allowed to be in and that you're able to be in, then it encourages you to shine in those spaces. So when we talk about science, technology, engineering, and math, those classrooms are traditionally men and white men, if I'm being completely honest. And so when you have other faces in there, you say, oh, maybe I can go into that room too. And so that's what this, my Mo on the Go, and just all these initiatives, is great what they're doing, are really encouraging for folks to do.
So what does it mean to have Congress pass this, have the president sign it, and know that this is an initiative at the top levels of our government even?
Well, when you hear that less than 2%, it's an alarming number because, and I think when they're making these decisions, they're saying, hey, this is not okay. And that's a good thing that they're saying this is not okay, because they're saying, hey, women, African Americans, other minorities, we don't want you to be less than 2%. We want that number to grow. And so by them agreeing to do this, they're kind of supporting that effort.
You're right. We always want to make sure the smartest voices in the room, and that means all voices in the room.
Yes, yes.